Oh, good Tuesday, everybody. Happy Patch Tuesday, everyone, and happy holidays. Welcome to another episode of our podcast. Everyone, it's that special time of year where attackers know a lot of companies are working with skeleton crews. So, Merry Fixmas from Automox. We've got quite the selection of vulns today. But first, let me introduce anyone who's new to the podcast to two of my esteemed coworkers here. Henry.
Hello, I'm Henry, and I'm a senior security engineer here at Automox, and I pretty much do whatever Ryan tells me to do.
And Seth.
And I'm Seth Hoyt. I'm also a senior security engineer here. And I tackle a lot of day-to-day stuff and basically anything that comes our way.
Yeah. Awesome.
You could
What are you all
consider
feeling?
the dream team.
Yeah,
Yes.
I would say you all are the dream team. Absolutely. Yeah. What are you all feeling about this holiday season with this drop?
Spicy, per usual.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
I feel like it's just nonstop RCEs all year. I mean, it's just there's so many on every single one of these Patch Tuesdays that we get, and it really highlights the necessity of patching your systems and keeping everything up to date. Yeah, Seth, I think you have a really good one to start us off with.
Yeah, let's dive in. So first one we got, CVE is 2024-49093, and this is a Windows Resilient File System, REFS, Elevation of Privilege Vulnerability. Now, this guy, well, first off, the REFS, the file system, was actually developed for Windows Server 2012. It has since been integrated into Windows 10 and 11. So since that is now on those operating systems, we got to cover all those bases. Now, this specific vulnerability, it involves a scope change. And specifically, in this case, the attacker can start from a low privilege app container environment, which those typically restrict execution, just designed to isolate processes and limit their access to other resources, right? So this vulnerability allows the attacker to elevate their privileges, obviously gaining access to a broader system level. So with the privilege escalation, that the attacker will move from a lower privilege container to a higher privilege container, therefore granting them their elevated privileges. And then also giving them access to additional resources, things like anything on the system, from files, memory processes, things that are outside of the app container. The other things with REFS, just to make sure we understand, I mean, there's some of the features there. You got your data resilience, scalability, improved performance, storage efficiency, things like that. So, that does a lot in the Windows environment, especially within virtualization, databases, backups, storage spaces, things like that. So that's a brief on REFS. The impact here is now going to be, if you have those systems, like specifically, Windows servers, then you can get in a situation where an attacker has escalated their privileges, and then they can start going east-west, affecting other servers and things like that. So that is, that's what makes this one pretty dangerous. Now, that being said, there haven't been any cases of this being exploited yet, but it's something to keep an eye out for, and make sure you stay patched.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Cool.
thanks for that.
Yeah.
I was to say, thanks for that bit of background, because REFS, that's a technology that I have like almost no knowledge of. So that's something that I need to look into now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Definitely. Cool. Yeah, my vulnerability for today is CVE 2024 49132. It is a Windows Remote Desktop Services remote code execution vulnerability. I feel like there's always some kind of like remote desktop services, RCE, or something coming around with it. This one's a little more nuanced. It's pretty advanced vulnerability, but I'm sure over time, there will be easier exploits for it. It it's basically it leads to like a use after free scenario. And for anyone who needs a little insight around that, use after free means under certain timing conditions, the system will reuse the freed memory from a program or application or process, and it allows the attacker to remotely execute their code. So in this one, it's a race condition where it requires really precise timing to exploit it. If a user connects through the remote desktop gateway role, they can force that use after free condition. Like they get a win there, they can arbitrarily run their code, and there's not really any reliable workaround for this besides patching your systems. And I definitely always stress in these scenarios where like the complexity is high now, like always be aware that it's just going to get easier when people develop like easier exploitations around it, so to speak. So, but yeah, this one it's spicy, but there's a lot of effort to get to it. So, but yeah. So, any insight on that, you all, or any
No,
questions? Yeah.
nothing beyond what you said.
Yeah, it is what it is. It's kind of an is what is it is what it is kind of situation. But yeah, Henry.
Well, speaking of exploitability, so if we look at CVE 2024 49138, it's the Windows Common Log File System Driver Elevation of Privilege vulnerability. Now, as I just said, this one is showing exploitation's been detected, and it is publicly disclosed. And from what I can see, it looks like CrowdStrike actually did the research to find this one, and I imagine that they have plenty of data to show that it's being exploited. So I'd definitely keep your eye out for that one. And it even looks to affect everything going back to like Windows Server 2008. And it reads that an attacker who successfully exploits this vulnerability could gain system privileges, which does check out. From what I know about the Common Log File System Driver, or CLFS, as I'll call it from now on, it's essentially just a logging service that can be used in user or kernel mode. There's not much detail at the time, but I would wager that the root issue is probably related to data validation, per usual. I feel like that's something I always talk about every time I'm on the podcast. And I mainly say that because I was just reading a Microsoft blog from August 2024 about CLFS and some security vulnerabilities and mitigations that were coming out. And the blog stated that there have been 24 CVEs reported in the last 5 years around CLFS, and 19 of them involved exploiting a logic bug caused by, you guessed it, improper data validation. And at least 3 of them had active exploits. So we're also not certain right now like what the attack surface would be yet, but I can only assume the bug is probably triggered by an attacker, using like a Windows API of some sort, like the CLFS API itself, or even like a file system API to craft or corrupt a log file to contain badness. So I'm really keen to see what other kind of research comes out from this one, and not seeing any workarounds at this point, other than, of course, patching. So to Ryan's point earlier, patch.
Yeah, and definitely, again, 'tis the season to get popped. Like it really is. I always stress this so much around the holidays. Like November and December are just big times for people to get popped because they're either working on skeleton crews, they're distracted by family, what have you. It's and attackers know it. So
Yeah.
just yeah.
They really ramp up their phishing efforts around this time of year too. You got to watch out for gift card scams and fake UPS notifications. It's like, hey, you're expecting a ton of packages this time of year, right? So they know
Yeah.
that they're gonna, pumping those phishing numbers up. So yeah, you just got to be really careful, always, but especially around the holidays.
Yeah,
Definitely.
they got to pump them numbers. Well, that'll about do it for us for today. But everyone, we hope you have a great holiday season. And we hope you all are safe out there. So, from all of us over here, have a good one.
Happy holidays.
See
Happy
ya.
holidays.